Young and the Restless. Victor strikes hard as jealous Sienna, Spies, Noah, and Audra. The lights of Genoa City shimmered against the velvet darkness, a place where secrets rarely stayed buried and power never slept. At the center of it all stood Victor Newman, a man whose presence alone could shift the balance of everything. And tonight, something was off. Victor stood by the towering windows of Newman Enterprises, his hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the city that had both feared and revered him for decades. The glow of the skyline reflected faintly in his gaze, but his thoughts were elsewhere, sharp, calculating, and deeply personal. "Something's moving," he muttered. Behind him, Michael Baldwin stepped quietly into the office. "You called me, Victor?" Victor didn't turn immediately. "I did." Michael closed the door, sensing the gravity in the room. "What's going on?" Victor finally turned, his expression unreadable. "Noah Newman." Michael blinked. "Noah?" "I thought he was focused on his club, his art, keeping a low profile." Victor's lip curled faintly. "That's what concerns me." Across town, in a dimly lit, upscale lounge tucked beneath Noah's nightclub, the atmosphere pulsed with low music and hidden intentions. Noah sat at a corner table, his posture relaxed, but his eyes alert. Across from him sat Audra Charles, elegant, composed, and utterly unpredictable. She leaned forward, her voice smooth as silk. "You've been avoiding me." Noah smirked faintly. "Or maybe I've been trying not to get pulled into whatever game you're playing." Audra's eyes gleamed. "You say that like you don't enjoy it." Noah hesitated. There was something about Audra, something magnetic and dangerous. He knew better. He really did. But knowing had never stopped a Newman before. "I don't trust you," he said plainly. Audra smiled. "Good. You shouldn't." Their eyes locked, tension crackling between them like electricity. What neither of them realized was that they weren't alone. From a secluded booth across the room, Sienna watched. Her nails dug into the leather seat as her gaze flickered between Noah and Audra. Every laugh they shared, every subtle glance, it felt like a knife twisting deeper inside her. Sienna had come to Genoa City quietly, slipping into Noah's world with ease. She had admired him at first, his sensitivity, his talent, his vulnerability. But admiration had turned into obsession, and now it was turning into something far more dangerous. "Who is she?" Sienna whispered under her breath, her eyes narrowing. She pulled out her phone, discreetly snapping photos of Noah and Audra. Evidence. Proof. Her mind raced. "He's mine. He just doesn't know it yet." Back at Newman Enterprises, Victor poured himself a drink, his patience wearing thin. "I want everything on Audra Charles," he said firmly. "Every deal, every contact, every skeleton in her closet." Michael raised an eyebrow. "Victor, Audra's ambitious, yes, but she's not exactly a threat to the Newman Empire." Victor shot him a look. "Anyone who gets close to my family becomes my concern." Michael sighed. "This is about Noah." Victor's silence was answer enough. "I've seen what happens when the wrong people get too close," Victor continued, his voice low and deliberate. "And I won't let history repeat itself." Michael nodded slowly. "I'll start digging." Victor's gaze hardened. "Do more than dig, Michael." Later that night, Noah stepped out onto the rooftop of his club, needing air, space to think. He didn't expect Audra to follow. "You always run when things get interesting?" she asked, leaning against the railing. Noah chuckled softly. "I step away when things get complicated." Audra tilted her head. "And what are we?" Noah hesitated. "A complication." She moved closer, her presence almost overwhelming. "Maybe you need a little complication." Before Noah could respond, a sudden noise from the stairwell made them both turn. But it was nothing, just the door swinging shut. Or so it seemed. Hidden just out of sight, Sienna pressed herself against the wall, her breathing shallow. She had heard everything, and it was more than she could bear. Back in her apartment, Sienna paced like a caged animal. She replayed the night over and over, the way Noah looked at Audra, the way Audra touched his arm, the way they existed in a world Sienna wasn't part of. "That ends now," she whispered. She opened her laptop, pulling up the photos she had taken. A slow, sinister smile spread across her face. "If I can't have him, no one will." The next morning, Audra walked into Newman Enterprises with confidence. She had been summoned, and that could only mean one thing. Victor Newman wanted something. "Mr. Newman," she said smoothly as she entered his office. Victor didn't offer a seat. "Audra." She raised an eyebrow. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" Victor stepped closer, his presence dominating the room. "You've been spending time with my grandson." Audra didn't flinch. "Is that a problem?" Victor's eyes darkened. "It depends." "On what?" "On your intentions." Audra smiled faintly. "I don't recall needing your approval." Victor's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "Everyone needs my approval, whether they realize it or not." A tense silence filled the room. Audra held her ground, but just barely. "You're playing a risky game," Victor continued, "and I don't like games when my family is involved." Audra met his gaze. "Then maybe you should stop trying to control everything." Victor's expression hardened. "Careful, Audra." Within hours, Audra's world began to shift. Deals she had been negotiating suddenly fell through. Calls went unanswered. Opportunities vanished. She sat in her office, staring at her phone, realization dawning. "Victor," she muttered. He had made his move. And it was just the beginning. Noah found Audra later that day, frustration written all over her face. "What happened?" he asked. She shook her head. "Your grandfather." Noah sighed. "I was afraid of that." Audra crossed her arms. "Does he always do this?" Noah gave a bitter laugh. "You have no idea." She studied him carefully. "And you're okay with it?" "No," Noah said firmly. "I'm not." But even as he said it, doubt flickered in his eyes. Because when it came to Victor Newman, standing against him was never simple. Meanwhile, Sienna made her move. She sent an anonymous message to Noah. "You don't know Audra like you think you do." Attached were carefully edited photos, images that made Audra appear secretive, manipulative, dangerous. Noah stared at the message, confusion and concern flooding his mind. "Who sent this?" he whispered. And more importantly, was any of it true? As the days passed, tensions escalated. Victor continued to tighten his grip, dismantling Audra's influence piece by piece. Audra fought back, determined not to be pushed out. Noah found himself caught in the middle, torn between loyalty to his family and his growing connection to Audra. And Sienna? She watched it all unfold with quiet satisfaction. But jealousy is a dangerous emotion, and control is an illusion, because in Genoa City, every move has consequences. One evening, everything came to a head. Noah confronted Audra. "Tell me the truth," he demanded, holding up his phone. "Is any of this real?" Audra glanced at the images, her expression darkening. "Where did you get these?" "That's not the point." "It is to me," she snapped. Noah hesitated. "I just need to know if I can trust you." Audra's eyes softened, just for a moment. "Trust is earned, Noah, and I haven't lied to you." Before he could respond, a slow clap echoed from behind them. They turned. Victor stood in the doorway. "I see things are getting interesting." Victor stepped forward, his gaze shifting between them. "This ends now." Noah frowned. "Grandfather?" "No," Victor interrupted. "You're too close to this." He turned to Audra. "You've overstayed your welcome." Audra straightened. "You don't get to decide that." Victor smiled, a cold, calculating smile. "Oh, but I already have." And then a voice cut through the tension. "Actually, I think I should say something." All three turned. Sienna stepped into the light. Her eyes were blazing. "I'm the one who sent the photos." Silence fell. Noah stared at her, stunned. "Sienna, why?" Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with emotion. "Because I love you." Audra's expression hardened. Victor's eyes narrowed. And Noah? He looked like the ground had just been ripped out from under him. "I did it to protect you," Sienna continued. "She's not who you think she is." Audra scoffed. "This is pathetic." Sienna turned on her. "You're using him! And you're obsessed!" Audra shot back. "Enough!" Noah shouted. The room fell silent. He looked at Sienna, hurt and confusion in his eyes. "You lied to me." Tears filled her eyes. "I did it for you." He shook his head. "You don't get to decide what's best for me." Victor watched the scene unfold, his expression unreadable. But deep down, he was satisfied. The threat had been exposed. The chaos had been contained. Or so he thought. Because as Sienna stood there, heartbroken, exposed, and humiliated, something shifted inside her. Love had turned into obsession. Obsession had turned into desperation. And desperation, that was the most dangerous emotion of all. She wiped her tears, her expression hardening. "This isn't over." And as she walked away, no one realized just how true those words would become. The silence that followed Sienna's exit lingered like smoke after a fire. Noah stood frozen, his mind racing, trying to process what had just happened. The woman he had trusted, the one who had quietly woven herself into his life, had just confessed to manipulating everything. Audra crossed her arms, her voice sharp. "Well, that was dramatic." Noah shot her a look. "This isn't a joke." "I'm not laughing," she replied coolly. "But I did warn you. People aren't always what they seem." Victor stepped forward, his tone measured but firm. "This situation has already gone too far." Noah turned to him. "You think?" Victor ignored the sarcasm. "That girl is unstable," Audra added dryly. "That's putting it lightly." But Noah wasn't listening anymore. He was thinking about Sienna's face, the desperation in her voice, the way she said, "This isn't over," and for the first time, he felt uneasy. Rain poured down as Sienna walked through the streets of Genoa City, her vision blurred by tears and fury. Her heart pounded, not from heartbreak anymore, but from something darker. "They humiliated me," she whispered. Her reflection in a shop window stared back at her, eyes red, expression hollow, but changing. "They chose her." Her hand tightened into a fist. "No." Her breathing slowed. A calm, cold and dangerous, settled over her. "They will regret this." Back at Newman Enterprises, Victor wasted no time. "I want her gone," he told Michael over the phone. "Sienna?" Michael asked. "Yes," Victor replied. "I don't care where she came from or what she wants. She's a liability." Michael hesitated. "Victor, she's clearly unstable. If we push too hard—" Victor cut him off. "I don't push, Michael. I remove obstacles." A pause. "I'll handle it," Michael said carefully. Victor hung up, his expression hard. Then he turned his attention elsewhere. To Audra. Audra wasn't one to be cornered. Sitting in her office, she reviewed the damage Victor had caused. Deals collapsing. Partners disappearing, pressure mounting, but instead of panic, she smiled. "So this is how you play, Victor," she murmured. She picked up her phone and dialed. "Let's accelerate phase 2. There was a pause on the other end. "Yes," she said. "Now." Noah couldn't shake the feeling that everything was spiraling out of control. He found Audra later that evening, standing alone on the rooftop again. "Tell me something," he said. She didn't turn. "That depends. Is my grandfather right about you?" That made her pause. Slowly she turned to face him. "What exactly did he say?" "That you're dangerous. That you're using me." Audra studied him carefully. "And what do you think?" Noah hesitated. "That I don't know who to trust anymore." For a brief moment, Audra's expression softened. Then it disappeared. "Good," she said. "You shouldn't trust anyone in this city." Elsewhere, Michael Baldwin sat in his office, reviewing a file. Sienna. At first glance, she seemed ordinary, too ordinary. But the deeper he dug, the stranger it got. "No records before 2 years ago?" he muttered. That wasn't normal. He picked up the phone. "Victor, we may have underestimated her." Sienna sat in a darkened room, her laptop casting a faint glow across her face. Her fingers moved quickly across the keyboard, digging, searching, planning. "You want to play games," she whispered. "Let's play." On her screen appeared confidential documents. Newman Enterprises, Audra Charles, Noah Newman, connections, weaknesses, secrets, and then she found something. Her eyes widened slightly. "Well, that's interesting." A slow smile spread across her face. The next morning, Genoa City woke up to chaos. Headlines spread like wildfire. Newman Enterprises linked to secret backdoor deals. Audra Charles at center of corporate scandal. Phones rang nonstop. Stocks dropped. Executives panicked. At Newman Enterprises, Victor stood in the middle of the storm. "Who did this?" he demanded. No one had an answer, but across town, Sienna watched the news unfold and smiled. Noah burst into Audra's office, holding his phone. "Tell me this isn't true." Audra barely glanced at the screen. "Which part?" "This scandal. Your name is all over it." Audra sighed. "Of course it is. You knew this could happen?" "I expected something," she admitted, "but not like this." Noah stared at her. "So it's real?" She met his gaze. "Parts of it." That wasn't the answer he wanted. Victor stormed into the room moments later. "This is your doing," he said coldly. Audra raised an eyebrow. "You think I'd sabotage myself?" "I think you're reckless," Victor replied. "And I think you're losing control," she shot back. The tension between them was explosive. "You've brought chaos into my company," Victor said. Audra stepped closer. "No, Victor, someone else did." Their eyes locked. And for the first time, Victor wasn't entirely sure he was in control. Later that night, Noah received another message. This time, there was no hiding. "Now you see the truth." He typed back immediately. "Sienna, stop this." 3 dots appeared. Then, "You should have chosen me." Noah's heart sank. Michael rushed into Victor's office. "It's her." Victor didn't need clarification. "Sienna." Michael nodded. "She's been off the grid. No past, no clear identity. And now this." Victor's expression darkened. "She's not just obsessed." Michael exhaled. "She's dangerous." Victor's voice dropped to a near whisper. "Then she's made a fatal mistake." Victor picked up his phone. "Activate security. I want everything. Surveillance, financial tracking, digital footprints." A pause. "And find her." In her hidden apartment, Sienna packed a bag, not in panic, in preparation. "They're coming," she said softly. She glanced at a photo of Noah on her screen. Her expression shifted, soft for just a moment, then hardened again. "You'll understand one day." She turned off the lights and disappeared into the night. Back in Genoa City, the lines had been drawn. Victor was hunting, Audra was fighting, Noah was caught in the middle, and Sienna, she was no longer just watching, she was playing. And this time, she wasn't going to lose.